Okay.
And it went on like that. I was there 8 or 9 years.
And
Then I came into Wolverton. I came to Wolverton, and when I looked inside the shop, it covered
so what sort of shop was it?
massive. It was a 4-bay job, you see, and it was high.
Yeah.
And there was furnaces in there half as big as this room, about 10 of them. Some of the jobs that they did weighed £63. I was buffeting, I was thinking of, but they worked stripped to the waist like niggers. They didn't know no other way, but believe it or not, the harder they worked, the happier they got. Once they got wet through, they was all right. But
were you a charge hand when you came to Wolverton?
I was a charge hand within 3 months of getting to Wolverton. I took charge of the road horse-drawn vehicles, and the motor traffic was just coming into being on there and all that. I worked all for that. Plus other jobs like that came along that if it was a good job, they gave it to me and I used to do it. That was all there was to it. But the fellas I had about 50 on my gang. That, once again, that gave me 5 bob plus 5 bob, 100% that was. And I did very nicely, but the unfortunate part was that we used to get short time occasionally if receipts dropped on the way. Well, it came then to the 30s. They came in the shop one morning and sacked 120 men on the Monday to finish on the Friday. Now, it wasn't only Wolverton, it was all over the country, that was. Things were really bad.
I'm sorry, what were the relationships like between the foreman and the men?
Well, I can only speak for myself. I was a foreman. If they wanted to play, I played with them.
How do you mean?
If they wanted to work, and I worked with them. But every man that had a job, when I worked it this way, I made it business-like.
Yeah.
And I'd had no experience. I gave them a card, I wanted 1,000 of certain articles. The price was on the card, I priced them. If they wasn't already priced, I priced them. And whatever that man laid on the floor, he was paid for, if it got through the work inspection bench. Now, that suited them. See, if they didn't work, they didn't get the money, but they worked. But
Were all foremen? Did all foremen work
no,
like
unfortunately, no. Some of them, they used to wear foreman was supposed to wear a hard hat.
Mm.
Well, they told me I'd got to wear one. I didn't wear a hat. I got one, and it came down over my ears. I didn't know what I looked like, so eventually I chucked it off. I tried to drill me, but eventually they let it go. That was so they could spot you when you came round, you see. But you were supposed to wear a hard hat in those days. But in these works here, they were practically all men from out the villages. If I speak the truth about Wolverton, it was rather on the snobby side, especially this street where we're living there. They were all foremen and what have you up the street, clerical workers, and they always considered, of course, they were just one cut above the ordinary working man because we was dirty and they wasn't. But like it is up north, where there's muck, there's money, so...
How did you get on with the superintendent?
All right. Mr. Peters. To him, I was clever clogged. That's what he called me. Well, I'll tell you the reason of this. Some of the foremen didn't like me, but we had what we used to call domestic washing. Now, on a Monday morning, we would be up at the office, the boardroom, for 3 hours. And I was a production man, you see, one of the first starters of the jobs. And all the other foremen would be there, and they'd tell him what they were short of. Well, it came one day they were short of buffetees. And I said to the doing, I said, well, you got 3,000 or 4,000 in the dump. That was just the words I used to the man. So the superintendent, and I always used to stand up when I was the only one that stood up. I was brought up proper way, you know, matter. Stood up. And he says, when you talk to me, clever clogs, why do you always grin like a Cheshire cat? Now, I'd heard most sound, I'd never heard that one. So I came back at him, and I was always quick with an answer. I said, well, if I show by facial expression what I'm thinking, you'll know. So I smiled. He said, Mike, he said, if ever you let me down with my production, I'll sack you. Well, I had to come back, and I didn't care whether I stopped here or not. At that time, I said, well, sir, I said, I had a job before I came here, a good job, and I don't doubt I've got the ability to get a job if you sack me. And I had a dab at it. I said, I'm sorry to say that I can't say that about all the foremen in the room. 3 or 4 of them agreed with me, mind you. But a lot of them never spoke to me for 2 or 3 years. As a matter of fact, one man, he thought he was the boss. I was the highest paid foreman in there. I went to having the most men, of course. And he retired. He's 87 now, and I met him along one of the streets here about 12 months ago, and no one, the foreman, the men that he was foreman over, when they see him, they won't talk to him, they go the other side. They hated the sight of him. And I thought, well, I don't know, the old boy. I said, I'll have a word. So he stopped, and I had a word with him, and he was as pleased about it. But he's a poor old tool, but he gets a bit. But he must be 87 or 88 anyway now, and that's the first time he spoke to me for 20 years, I should think. But I could forgive all right that. It doesn't take anything out of my pocket to talk like that, and now if I see him, I shall have another word with him, I suppose. But he gave me a little bit of information about his family. One of his brothers that I was palling with had got killed on a motorbike. I didn't know that, see. So it was nice, but the old fellow went away as elated and as pleased as could be. But I tell you, they walked the other side of the street.